What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Out of the Basement. Today, we are doing our final discussion for Game of Thrones Season 8. This is Episode 6, The Iron Throne. Of course, this is a spoiler review, so if you haven't seen the episode, click off, watch the episode, come back, or if you just don't give a shit, just stay tuned and watch. Of course, I'm Nate. I'm joined with Justin.
What's up, guys?
Steven.
Howdy.
And Connor.
Hello, hello.
And let's just get it right out of the way. Let's talk about our feelings of the episode before we jump right in, so people aren't confused when we're hating on it. I thought the episode was incredibly meh. I didn't really feel strongly one way or another.
I think I'm in the same boat as you. I'm just glad it's over and it's not going to continue and just keep on going to where it's like cringe level stuff like The Walking Dead is. That's the example I always use, how it just keeps on going, and at least it's over, and at least I didn't absolutely hate it.
True.
I am ultimately unsatisfied, and I have just now started reading the books. Yeah. I think it was after last episode I went straight to the store, bought like the 5-pack soft covers, so there's still 2 more books to be released, but I can't wait to see how it is actually supposed to end.
True.
And yeah, I have 2 major beefs, but we'll get into that when we talk about the episode.
Connor, how did you feel?
Well, I'm just gonna say it. I fucking hated this. And it's actually, the more I think about it, the more I hate it. It's kind of like, it's like The Dark Knight Rises. If I didn't like that when I came out of the theater, I already didn't like it, and now I just,
Hey, The Dark Knight Rises is aging just fine in the grand scheme of superhero movies.
Isn't that fucked up?
Yes.
But speaking of superhero movies, I've said this to you guys already. The fact that Avengers Endgame is a stronger character piece and character study than the end of Game of Thrones, I can't fucking wrap my head around that. But it's true. So that's where I am.
Steve?
I'm pretty much in line with Connor. I hated it.
Yeah, you were angry last night.
Yeah, I'm going through the stages of
grief.
Yeah,
that's what I was saying. Like the last episode 4, 5, and 6 were it was sadness, anger, and then for me the last episode was just acceptance.
See, I did mine out of order. I had already accepted it. That it was going to be ass. I fully accepted that, so that wasn't an issue. But I went straight into anger last night. I was on a warpath.
I was too mad to drink.
I was so pissed I could spit. I was completely unsatisfied. I was even I don't stand by this now, but last night I was so mad that I was like, why did I even waste my time with this stupid show anyway?
Yeah. When you were going that far, I was just like, all right, Buck, let's take it down a few pegs there.
But yeah, I ultimately I'm just severely unsatisfied because I feel like this season in particular, obviously 6 and 7 weren't based on the books, but looking back now, I'm down with 6 and 7.
I'm down with 6. Still not down.
Yeah, 7 still sucked pretty hard.
I need to rewatch that one, but at least I'll stick by that for now. This season was such just turned its back on everything that the rest of the show was. Mm-hmm. That I'm just like,
it was just rushed.
Yeah, I'm just so.
They just wrapped it up,
feeling cheated, almost. Of course, look. Of course, you can't always get what you want. I'm not coming I'm not signing a petition to remake the show.
Petitions, fucking stupid.
It's just a TV show at the end of the day. So I'm not letting it ruin my life. It's not I'll go on.
People can sign petitions for a TV show, but they can't actually sign petitions on things that actually matter.
Yes.
In life. I mean, Nate and I were kind of talking about this. I think I'm in the same boat of you of just accepting it, because how many other TV shows do the general population just think has bad endings? Like, I know a lot of people say Lost has a bad ending.
Lost has bad seasons.
True. I haven't seen Dexter, but a lot of people say that ends terribly.
I might like Dexter better than this.
It might just be, in general, the curse of a TV series.
Well, it's very hard.
Yeah, it is very hard. But at the same time, Breaking Bad, I will say, ended perfectly for me, personally. I would say Breaking Bad has 5 perfect seasons of television, and I'm conflicted when someone's gonna ask me what's my favorite TV show. It used to just be without a question Game of Thrones, but now I'm conflicted of what my favorite series is.
Yeah, that's gonna be my next TV show. Is I'm gonna finally finish Breaking Bad and see how it goes, because I only ever watched season 1.
2012 Nate's rolling in his grave.
Yeah. Well, listen, the hype is pretty much dead at this point. I have 0 expectations.
Right.
That's when I like to watch things.
Yeah.
When the hype is dead. So let's jump into the recap, Connor. You've got our notes, so go ahead and guide us through this episode.
A lot of notes here. So we start off with just the immediate aftermath. Full perspective of Tyrion. Basically, we're walking through his sort of devastation.
You see the little toy. I like the burned guy that's just he's just like walking out.
And they're all kind of like, the fuck?
Like, what happened to you?
Oh.
I thought that was pretty
We
great.
didn't have the high ground.
It was Anakin.
So Tyrion goes then to find, to see if Jaime and Cersei escaped.
I was
They
totally expecting one of them to be alive. I was like, oh no, cheap.
Yeah, like when you just see Jaime's hand, I was totally expecting to see it start like gently moving.
But so like we talked about this, but it's like you guys said, it's like if they took 2 steps to the right or the left or whatever, like they would have survived.
Tyrion had a wide open space to walk around, so they could have just went to a different part of the dungeon that they were in, like literally 5-10 feet to the opposite direction,
perfectly intact,
and they could have won, or they could have lived.
It's
Sorry.
and like in the previous episode, it shows it like completely collapsing, and then in this episode, it's just like there's like 5
and
little
on top of
spots
that, they were
rubble.
barely buried. Like you could still
very
see the
shallow
hand.
grave.
So
wasn't that many.
it
bricks.
wasn't even that many bricks. I mean, it would still kill them, of course, but they could have just stepped away.
So all that's
it's like
fucking
avoiding
stupid.
getting hit by a train. Just one step to the left.
That being said, Peter Dinklage was acting his ass off in that scene.
No, of course.
You felt it.
Again, with the entire season, regardless, the actors.
Directing, cinematography, the music is beautiful, the acting, the set pieces, the design of everything, all good. It's just the direction of the story, which is unfortunately the main thing.
So then we get the perspective switch to Jon kind of walking up the steps, and it's a very like intense. You're kind of surrounded by your armies.
The way like the big Targaryen flag is hanging down, very reminiscent of like Nazi Germany in a way.
Which, not that I enjoy Nazi Germany, but I did enjoy that sequence.
Yeah, it was
when she was giving her speech. I was like,
it actually very much so reminded me of like some of my favorite Twilight Zone episodes were always about like sort of dictators and people who like were liberators who then become dictators, and it was very. It reminded me of those very intensely.
Awesome shot, though, with Drogon behind
Yes.
Dany and the wings kind of fly up.
yeah, I really like that.
Well, in Dany's liberation speech, which was just like a Hitler speech, but in Dothraki, which made
General
it more...
Hux.
Yeah, basically. And like there's that moment where she says they'll liberate Winterfell. It was just very like, this person drunk with power, but her idea of liberation is, let's just burn them all.
Minor side note, to quote one of the writers, what we see is essentially the end of the Dothraki, and then there's just like a horde in the background doing their yelps, and I was like, cool sequence, but you kind of did say essentially the end of the Dothraki.
Which cuts to the next episode.
It all
Half
goes
are
back
alive.
to what, Buck, you said last night. Like, not even the writers know how many of thousands of the sheer numbers that they are, because there's allegedly 100, like around 100,000 of the Dothraki, but you don't see 100,000 Dothraki in the Battle of Winterfell, and then you kind of see like a bunch here as well. It's just who knows?
But
it's a little jarring.
But so from there we get the sort of the resignation of Tyrion Lannister as the Hand.
That was sick.
Yeah, I like it.
It was badass, but here's what it didn't ring true for me that she would just say, "Oh, take him away." I felt like in the mode she was in, it seems like he would have been executed on the spot.
Or burned like Varys.
Yeah.
Right in front of everyone.
Because at the same time, he did betray her by freeing Jaime.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it just didn't feel consistent with what they were doing.
Right.
And in the previous episode, she's like, the next time you fail me will be the last time you failed me. So he failed her twice.
Shut up.
And
she's taking her time.
But then another, like, inconsistent moment, we had sort of the weird... It almost felt like a confrontation between Jon and Grey Worm, where Grey Worm is just executing prisoners who surrendered.
Which I was like, oh no, like, this is dark and evil, and, like, she told him to do that. So now, I mean, I guess that helps with, like, she is, like, full-on evil, the Mad Queen, and I just felt so bad for those Lannisters. So they survive all of that just to be...
Yeah, they're just sitting there helpless. And, you know, Grey Worm at that point is, like, full villain.
Right.
But I felt like it was very, again, it felt out of character for Jon to walk away from that. Like, it was a thing he knew was not right.
Yeah.
And I really felt like confrontation was going to happen.
Well, I don't think he had enough men with him in that sequence to take them all on.
Which is the classic Stark problem.
Yes.
And he is obviously still conflicted.
Yeah.
She is my queen.
Yeah.
I don't want it.
I love you.
I think it's in Grey Worm's character though, because the Unsullied just follow orders, which that will be a gripe I have with that we all have with a later sequence in this episode. But when Grey Worm decided to just kill all the Lannisters, I was like, okay, he's Unsullied. The Queen said to kill all of the enemies of the Queen, or all who follow Cersei. So I mean, it makes sense for Grey Worm that he doesn't really have that sense of right or wrong.
Right.
Then we get one of the better moments, I think, from this episode was when Jon visits Tyrion in his cell.
Yeah.
There's the great kind of speech from Tyrion. He talks about how evil all these other people were, like, you know, his father, his family. They didn't kill anywhere near as many people as Dany did just the day before.
Which is exactly what I said
Right.
in the last episode. Like, when I was kind of like, you know, Cersei might not have been that bad. Because, like,
Yeah, she
literally, she kills more people than all of them.
It was just had a resting bitch face.
she blew up a church, and that's pretty much it.
But, you know, there though, it sets up this weird, you know, Jon's the last person that has a choice to do the right thing or whatever. And I felt like that would have, if this were old Game of Thrones, like, that would have happened, and maybe an episode and a half later, Jon would have done something.
Mm-hmm.
Here it was like, oh, has this conversation with Tyrion. Next scene goes, and there's the Dany moment.
Yeah, it felt weird for Jon to be so against it, and then just from one conversation with Tyrion, he's now like, yes.
Well, one conversation with Tyrion, but then also, I mean, I'm just going to say this, like, in this Dany scene, when she's talking about, you know, the people who can remember what used to be, I was like, this is literally just Thanos.
Like, I think he ultimately knew what he had to do, just because he always tries to do the right thing. I just think he was in, like, a stage of denial that he had to do it, because, again, if the love between Jon and Dany would have been more believable, that would have been, and of course the transition of the Mad Queen, this all just goes back to the whole thing being rushed.
If we had more than an episode on any of those plot points.
I do think this would have been a fantastic finale if there would have been, if the love between Jon and Dany, because that's why he would be so conflicted to kill her, and then the descent to the Mad Queen, and her death would have been a lot more impactful, because it's a bit anticlimactic in this episode.
Yeah, true.
But they do beat it into your head that he's conflicted, because I mentioned it earlier, but literally, like, his only 3 lines of dialogue in this entire season is, I love you, or I love her, I don't want it, and she's my queen. So he keeps trying to convince himself of that.
Yeah.
Over and over.
I did think it was interesting that they gave him kind of his Jaime Lannister moment there. You know, he does the sneak shot, which is very Eddard Stark like.
Yeah.
But I mean, that moment, it was like Dany was full on. You know, I mean, again, if it had just been a little bit less subtle throughout, like, if, you know, Tyrion in that previous scene kind of points out, like, okay, we should have all seen this coming for these reasons, which I felt was a kind of super lazy writing. But
and I'm pretty sure it's exactly what I said again.
Yeah.
In that last episode that we did, when I was like, well, she did crucify, like, the slave owners, and then blah blah blah, and then it's Tyrion kind of like, no, people who are outraged remember she did all this. Like, it's totally, like, directly talking to the audience.
But, so, I mean, like, yeah, Dany died really early in the episode, which was not really what I was expecting.
And then there's just like a time jump.
Yeah.
You didn't get to see the aftermath.
But I mean,
Cuts away. That's the theme of this season.
but we get, like Drogon seems to know immediately that she's dead, and just comes up. And the fact that Drogon didn't try to kill Jon in that scene, or didn't kill Jon in that scene, I thought was just and like Drogon burning the Iron Throne instead of Jon doesn't make any fucking sense.
Maybe because
What?
Jon is a Targaryen, then there's still a little bit of allyship.
But like you said, Connor, since when did Drogon get political?
Yeah.
Like he has political motivations to burn the Iron Throne.
He's like, if my mom can't have it, nobody can.
It would have made so
And
much
then
more
he just takes her and flies away.
That was woke breath.
Yeah. It would have
Yeah.
it would have made so much more sense to have Dany burn the Iron Throne with Drogon, and then for all of this stuff to happen. Because obviously Dany talks about breaking the wheel, this and that.
Yeah.
So like, just to have Drogon randomly do it and not try and kill Jon at all. I was expecting Jon to at least get like Drogon would blast him, but then it wouldn't affect him because he's a Targaryen.
Yeah.
And in the context of the show, they're always fireproof.
So
Also-
there was no magic or anything in this season, though. Like, all the fantasy was gone.
Yeah.
That is true.
Plus, they had to subvert our expectations.
Right.
Yeah, what do you think about her just dying in 2 seconds silently with no, like, final
Yeah,
words
I
or
thought she was gonna, like question Jon or like say something, but she's just, and then dies.
And it's like,
Like it was just like, all right, like she's not gonna say anything or like
Yeah.
be like have a face of betrayal. It's like her face doesn't even convey like shock or anything. She's just like, oh, I got stabbed.
Well, you just know she's coming?
But yeah, I think that affected the scene. It was just like there's like nothing like we've been with Dany for so long, and then she finally dies, and I felt absolutely nothing. I was just like, all right, I guess, like
Yeah, 8 years led to this.
like moving on.
So yeah, the Drogon thing happens, and there's the time jump. Or as I have it in my notes, time jump beards and bullshit.
Everyone gets a big beard.
Yeah, everyone gets a big beard. Okay, so there's the meeting of the Lords, which again, like if this were old Game of Thrones, there would have been preparation for that. There would have been like people, you would have seen other people's agendas going into it. This is what I
think
want out
I've
of
just
this.
accepted
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
they all
by
just
now.
fast traveled there.
You mean like the whole season where Brienne is escorting Jaime, and there's like basically a whole season out of just her escorting Jaime.
Yeah.
And now it's just people show up wherever they want, whenever they want.
This really
I've
was the show of
accepted it.
traveling companions back in the day. That was the thing.
Yeah. But now it's just quick fast travel.
But I mean, there's the meeting of the Lords, and
I did like seeing Edmure and Robin Aaron.
Yeah.
Just nice little callbacks from earlier seasons so I could reminisce of the previous season.
And Edmure's really been through it, and somehow he lived out of all the people. Him being a prisoner a few times.
He survived the Red Wedding.
Yeah, it's like good for him.
but it's
And he shoots a shot.
Yeah,
They're like, just sit down.
what it is very weird, as you've said, that Grey Worm was in such a position of power.
yeah.
Yeah, which I understand, like, he would want revenge for Daenerys, but at the same time, he's an Unsullied, he's not supposed to basically think for himself that.
Let's go back to that previous point, though. He would want justice for he would want revenge. Jon would have been killed immediately. Tyrion probably would have been killed immediately. There would have been no, let's call a council. They're in control there.
Right,
They would have slaughtered Jon and his men,
right.
immediately.
It made no sense,
Yeah.
and especially like in the council meeting when Grey Worm is suggesting things, and all the lords are like, "Oh yeah," like agreeing and like arguing with him, like, "No, he's just a soldier now. Like you guys don't have to give a shit about his opinion."
Yeah.
About Grey Worm?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
That's
we
what I
gotta
was
make a
thinking,
deal
too,
with him. No, fuck him.
Like, you're in...
No, you don't.
I was thinking that same thing, like, you're in Westeros, little dude. Like, this is
Yeah.
the land of the Seven Kingdoms. Like, it's not Essos.
And I thought it was weird because, like, up to this point, we've had wars for people for their claims to the throne or whatever. We've had all these fucking wars and battles over other things. Now all of a sudden we're at a point where like with this, it seems like there's all the fucking reason to go to war, to battle. Like these people did horrible fucking things, like slaughtered a city that surrendered, And we're like, well, let's just give them a house now. Let's make them lords.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't make any sense.
Well, Sansa did, it's like, threaten them that if they harm Jon, like, there's the city's surrounded by Northmen. And then, to his credit, the Onion Knight, Sir Davos, was like, come on, we've got to find a better way. War is primitive, blah, blah, blah. Which I 100% agree with.
Make love, not war, man.
Yeah. But in the context of the show, if I was Sansa, I'm like, all right, bet.
Yeah.
Like, you're about to get the smoke.
What's your sing?
And then a whole season of Unsullied versus Northmen.
So here's the point here. This whole thing happened way too fucking fast because we decide all of a sudden we're going to be a quasi-democracy.
Yeah.
And
gonna let my dog vote.
And Tyrion, who's a prisoner, gives this speech about why Bran should be king. And the whole thing about, like, the power of a good story, which during the course of this story being told so poorly was just too much for my little heart to take.
Just D&D looking in a mirror, jerking themselves off.
And like a few episodes ago, they all went, like, what if there's someone better?
Yeah.
Jon?
The real heir? And then there's like, what about Bran?
Had I been drinking during that scene, I would have spit out whatever. Did they seriously go there? And also, the idea that Bran has the best story, especially while Arya is sitting, like, right there.
Yeah.
What?
It's just so, like, I definitely feel like Bran getting put on the throne was another moment of, like, just subverting your expectations for the sake of subverting your expectations.
Because I didn't see that coming.
Well, and also, Bran is not Bran anymore.
Yeah.
He's the three-eyed raven.
Right.
Here's the point.
Which is like, why is the three-eyed raven politically motivated?
Yeah.
That, and he doesn't get to be king and the three-eyed raven. Like, I get the...
You get one thing, Bran!
But here's the thing. Like, Tyrion's arguing. It's like, well, he fucking knows everything. The future of everything. Who's better to lead? It's like, okay, yeah, fair argument. But he could do that same exact job as the Hand.
Mm-hmm.
And let Aegon Targaryen be the rightful fucking king. But I understand...
They were trying to avoid war.
Look, I get that. They want to break the wheel. Like, what about democracy? This and that. I get that. But I'm not satisfied with it.
But we can also think back to Jaime killing the Mad King. What did Robert Baratheon do? Gave him a royal pardon. So nothing bad ever happened to Jaime.
They, like you said last night, Buck, they could have just waited for the Unsullied to leave because...
They're going to the Isle of Narth, which is all the way,
in Essos.
Oh, he's going to the wall.
Yeah, exactly. And then Bran could have gave him a royal pardon, or because the North is a separate kingdom now.
Yeah.
Sansa is the queen in the North, and the North have always kind of been in charge of the Night's Watch. Like, Ned was the warden of the North, and he would behead, like, the deserters. Like, she could have gave him a pardon.
Well, that's...
Right.
Alright, so we're mildly ahead of ourselves here, but I will say, like, part of what's frustrating about this is that Jon's lineage and all of the foreshadowing, all the elements of in the story, it was purely a plot device to create friction between him and Dany. That was it, to help Dany descend to madness. Like, that was all it was.
Yep.
And that's so fucking lazy.
It's really dumb.
It's just shitty.
It served no other purpose.
It's just bad writing.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to go back to the council meeting before we move on. So Bran lets the North become independent, and every other kingdom is just okay with that. Like, they don't want to be independent too. They're just like, all right, that's fair.
Yeah, that was my exact... I was expecting everyone to be like, what about me?
Yeah, well, then he just admits, it's like, what do you think I came all this way for? I know everything.
But
I knew I was going to be king.
But that's just...
You can't see the future, though.
Clearly he can.
Yeah, I mean, in some way he can, obviously.
He can only see the present as everything is happening and the past.
But that line of dialogue implies that he knew he was going to be king, or else why would he have come all the way to King's Landing? So, like, he knew it was going to happen, but...
he let it happen.
Yeah.
Which makes him evil.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, the Three-Eyed Raven clearly has some sort of, like, random political motivation that will never obviously be touched on.
But then he says he doesn't want to be king.
Yeah.
It's like...
It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, so then Tyrion's punishment for trying to do the right thing a million times is you got to be handed the king now.
Yeah.
And Graham's like, it's not enough.
Look, and I don't know how the Three-Eyed Raven magic works. I don't know. Clearly the writers don't either. But couldn't Bran maybe take control of Drogon
it's kind of implied later.
Yeah, I thought we were actually going to get a little scene of that, of him warging into Drogon. Because when he's like, I can find him.
But before that, when he's wrecking and killing, like, to prevent those deaths, couldn't he taken control of Drogon? Or done something?
I mean, maybe. We don't know how easy or hard it is to warg into different animals.
Like I said, I don't understand how that works. But in the context of he knew he was going to be king, why do you think I came all this way? He just let that shit happen. It's like Pearl Harbor all over again.
Jesus.
All right, you can cut that out. But like, that makes him kind of evil. That's not very moral of him.
Or it just makes the writing kind of shitty.
Yeah.
But
I agree with you.
On the grand,
I agree with you.
But maybe that means
We're all
on
in
the
agreement.
grand scheme of things, that's how you birth a better world. Is that had to happen to birth a more civilized society.
I think fuck that.
But so then as a result, and I felt like this was again kind of like talking to the audience, like, yeah, we know you're disappointed. 'Cause, when Tyrion tells Jon he's going back to the wall, Tyrion's like, no one's happy, which means it's probably a good compromise. I was like, okay, let's justify this. Like, Jon gets sent back to the wall, which I just felt again like.
This is one of my two main issues. The one was obviously Dany is not believable.
Yeah.
My second big issue is they made peace with the wildlings and they defeated the White Walkers. Why is there a Night's Watch? Why is there a wall? It serves absolutely no purpose.
It's just a prison camp.
Taking
now.
the black.
That's that.
Like, what are they watching?
Bronn pretty much said that. Well, we still need a prison camp, so we'll use that, which makes sense. I get that. But now they don't have any duties. They're just going to be hanging out.
Yeah, like,
Hanging
you
out
could still, like, that's prison.
on
You
the
could still have a
wall.
relatively fun life
Yeah.
at the Night's Watch.
Like,
It's just
sucks
shits
the
and giggles
weather's
at the Night's
cold.
Watch now.
At least you don't have to worry about White Walkers or wildlings.
I like to think that Jon leading them out was like, okay, guys, like, just pretend like you're the evil wildlings, and we'll come out and lead
They're
raging
LARPing.
parties.
Yeah, it's the origin of LARPing.
They have Nerf swords. They're like, die.
Have that
No,
sheet.
it's like blow two horns for wildling.
I thought for sure that we were gonna get, like, even though the series is over, I thought maybe we'd get like a little tidbit of something to like justify the Night's Watch existing again. Like maybe we see like a random like white walking around somewhere, and then that would automatically mean like, oh, there's like more White Walkers or there's something else.
Yeah,
But we just don't get anything.
because it was all like super positive.
Right.
Like, they're introducing democracy. We're gonna live all peacefully. I was totally expecting to end on like somewhat of a dark note,
Yeah.
but no, it's all just happy.
Yep.
And I would have thought that would have been awesome if it ends with, like you said, a shot of like a random white walking around.
Yeah,
or
just like something to let you know that like, okay, there's still conflict. Like it's not over. I think that would have been kind of a cool little tease to just, make it not seem like the Night's Watch is just like a bunch of prisoners hanging out.
And it's like, it's not like they're gonna be in cells or anything. They're literally just living
they
their
get to-
life
they
in
get
a
to-
castle.
They get to roam around. They can go north of the wall. They can go south of the wall.
They're just
Like-
not supposed to have sex.
Yeah,
'Cause that worked for Jon before.
yeah. It worked. It worked for plenty of members of the Night's Watch when they all reference going to that whorehouse that's right near Castle Black.
Game of Thrones or real life, I think one thing is clear, that abstinence works.
Jesus.
That
Good.
teaching abstinence works.
Good message, Buck.
But, so then we get kind of the farewell of the Starks. The Starks go their separate ways. Arya, as we've said, becomes Christopher Columbus.
Dora the Explorer.
Which she makes that statement like one or two times, like in season way back, like what is beyond like the map? It's like season 1.
No.
So like, at least it's not completely 100% random. It's just like 99% random.
But the shot of her grabbing it, like everyone's suiting up, which was cheesy in and of itself. But then like she gets a telescope, and I was like, this is too far.
The whole finale was almost kind of like an allegory for the United States, like introducing Western culture, and then Arya she's gonna like discover, she's gonna sail around, she's gonna end up in Essos, and she's gonna think she's like in a completely different country, and she's gonna be like, I'll call you Indians.
Yeah.
Here's some smallpox.
Yeah.
So Sansa is, queen in the north now.
Which I like that.
Yeah.
Out of the Stark children, all of their finales, it's kind of the only one I really liked was Queen in the North. Like, at least she got her wish.
But we get the small council meeting.
Ugh.
And we get, what else but the book, Song of Ice and Fire.
Okay, that part was a little cringy. I'll give you that.
So
was
cringy.
But I do like some of the characters where they end up. Like, Samuel Tarly gets to be the Grand Maester.
Yeah.
I like that. And I like how Brienne is like, she's going to be the Lord Commander of the Kingsguard.
Mm-hmm.
And our boy,
Podrick.
Sir Podrick,
Yeah.
got knighted, and he's in Kingsguard as well. They're in their gold armor. He's wheeling around Bran. I like how their two stories ended.
And Bronn is Master of Coin.
Master of Coin, Lord of Highgarden,
Yeah.
Lord of the Stormlands, or what are the Riverlands? Or
Yeah, the Riverlands.
the Reach, was it?
Reach. Something. One of those.
Whatever's in the middle there.
I saw on Twitter somebody say, like, I'd totally watch a spin-off of that cast of characters just doing their lord duties together and stuff, and somebody was like, it's always sunny in King's Landing. I was like, alright, I'm sold. I'd watch that.
But, so then Brienne writes down Jaime's accomplishments in the book.
Mm-hmm.
It was a nice moment.
Yeah. I liked it.
I didn't like how Jaime's story arc ended,
Yeah.
but I like the little moment of Brienne
And,
finishing his chapter.
so Jon is north at the Night's Watch, and he rides out with the wildlings, and that's like the last shot of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, we got justice for Ghost.
Yeah, he got all the pets.
He got the pets.
He even got a hug.
All of that. I was like, thank you. Like, John did Ghost dirty in the previous episode when he was just like, see you later. So I was happy that at least we got to see old Ghosty Boy, and he got some pets, and he got some love.
And I guess the last scene is kind of poetic. It does rhyme. Because the episode 1 of season 1
Right.
was a nice watch going out and like, oh shit, White Walkers, chaos, violence, and then they're going out.
Yeah. Because it's where he started and it's where he ends up. I mean, I understand that, but at the same time,
not even specifically just Jon Snow, but just like the show in general.
yeah.
You know.
But I mean, Jon, is a Targaryen, and nothing happens with that, and he just goes back to the
And
line.
should be king at
It's
his
where
own
he
time.
belongs.
But, so we get... So basically the thing here is, I think, what feels lazy... This to me, felt very much like... like in literary fiction, the whole point is it's realistic. You put characters in the setting, whatever naturally happens, that's what happens. That's why a lot of people don't read literary fiction. It can be kind of boring. This felt like people trying to write literary fiction, but missing that point.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
And if anybody knows, it's you.
A published author.
But
And just look at him.
but
This man's wearing a blazer.
just the subversion for the sake of subversion was such bullshit this last season, and especially in this episode. And the idea that this whole thing has been a fucking pro-electoral college PSA blows my mind.
Seriously. Like,
Who knew?
Have you learned nothing?
But yeah, it's at least...
Which, like, I always kind of thought, and a lot of people have always thought this as well, that it would end with them moving to, like, a more civilized society of doing things, and obviously they're going to elect a leader instead of, a monarchy. And, again, I would have been a fan of that if it wasn't just everything is rushed and then they just wrap it up.
Yep.
They just do this. This is them.
Well,
Wrap it up, bud. Wrap it up.
at least we have 4.5 really great seasons of television.
I would say perfect, masterful.
At least 1 through 4.
seasons. Yeah. And
5
then you
gets
have,
a little rocky.
I really love 5.
I
And
know you do.
I even like 6. It's really just 7 and 8 that...
I like 6 in a sense of boom boom action. make my tiny brain go, I like that.
And like I said earlier, with the way season 8 is shaped up, 6 and 7 don't seem so bad.
But at the same time, I didn't absolutely hate it. I didn't
Yeah.
absolutely hate it. And, I mean, it's not as satisfying. And it's just, like you were saying earlier, it sucks that... Well, it doesn't suck, but Game of Thrones was so good.
It's like
It was perfect. And
it's
then,
like you had a sub sandwich, and it had all the meats and cheeses and veggies you wanted. And then when you finally go to take a bite of it, it's just the bread.
Quote.
And I mean, that's why I'm gonna read the books now.
Yep.
So I still think it's probably my favorite television series. Maybe.
Yeah, no, I would still say at least, because seasons 1 through 5 are so good. At least seasons 1 through 4.5.
And I mean, it is really unfortunate that it didn't end on a satisfying note. However, we still have the books.
Yeah.
And 2 more books are still coming out. So there's plenty of time for us to actually be satisfied
True.
with Game of Thrones.
And I think that if you're out there and you're worried about, you don't really read books or anything like that, Game of Thrones, if you're already into the show, it's pretty easy to get into the books, too.
Trust me, I am the same way. If a novel is like thicker than this, I get intimidated. And Game of Thrones is like this thick.
Yeah, but
and you see those, I'm like, whoa!
The way it's written,
But yeah, just like the show, it's
POV,
from
it's character to
perspective
character.
to character and character. And so far, what I've read, which is like the first 30-something pages,
Yeah.
it's like a maximum of 10 pages per perspective. So just go by chunks if you're intimidated by large novels.
And,
I am a fan of POV.
yeah. So that's our advice to you, is just start reading the books. If you're unsatisfied with the show, just read the books, because allegedly
Or just watch season 1 through 5 and just think the story ends after that.
Yep.
Or like apply yourself to like
Create your own canon.
don't sign petitions for TV shows.
Yeah.
There you go.
You're not entitled to anything.
Yeah.
I don't want to come up like I keep saying I was unsatisfied, but I don't feel entitled to have
We've
all my
accepted.
wishes to come true. 'Cause
It's
that's
it's
just
not
how
like
life works.
it's not like a lot of Star Wars fans who want to erase The Last Jedi from canon. It's
I don't disagree with that, but also I'm not entitled to it.
But nobody can think something is bad and then just move on anymore. It's always like, no, we got to go back and fix this to what I want.
My childhood.
The Last Jedi, bad movie. I've accepted it and moved on. Game of Thrones, not really satisfied with the ending. I'm accepting it and moving on to the book.
It's not the end of the world. It's just media. That's all it is. So,
We're just gonna end it.
that was our
Cuts to black.
that was our review of Game of Thrones, the series finale. What did you guys think? Comment down below. Let us know. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Seems like a lot of people are kind of feeling like us, where they either feel very whatever on it or they absolutely hated it. Haven't really seen anyone say anything positive about it.
I've seen some defenders.
I think
But-
there's plenty of defenders because they're saying, you just wanted a fairy tale ending.
Well, yeah, those people, though, don't understand what people are criticizing. And
Yeah,
they're just trying to fit that into their own
I
narrative.
think that is what irks me most about this whole social media war that's been going on, is that they're basically twisting the words of the criticizers and just saying, oh, you're just not, it's just not how you wanted it to end. Which, that claim makes absolutely no sense, because you could apply that to any criticism to any media ever made.
Yes.
Like, oh, I don't like this.
So they're acting like conservatives?
I don't like this movie's soundtrack. Well, the soundtrack isn't just what you wanted it to be. It's like you cannot have a criticism anymore. It's just, oh, it's not just what you wanted.
Yeah.
Makes absolutely
Troll
no
2 just
sense.
wasn't what you wanted.
Death by popcorn.
It was everything I wanted.
Anyways, if you enjoyed our review, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. I would probably say that we are most likely done talking about Game of Thrones, but we may go back in the future and revisit the good old days. Who knows what'll happen.
And there's, maybe some prequels on the horizon,
Yeah.
maybe some spin-offs here and there.
I'm Nate. I'm joined with Justin,
See you guys later.
Steven,
Take care.
and Connor.
God, I was strong then.
We'll see you guys next time on Out of the Basement.